Hey, this is Nikki G and welcome to Better Commander. I'm here to tell you why Zerda the Dawnwaker is the best Boros commander. Wowie zowie, what a fox, dude. Let's explore this elemental fox. By the end of this video, you're going to agree with me that Zerda is the best Boros commander out there. Hey, listen, if you like and subscribe, if you like the video, if you liked and commented, then you've liked the video and you've subscribed, brother. Boros equipment, very well-worn archetype. Did you know equip is an activated ability? Well, you do now, so you can thank me for that in the comments. Ikoria, what a crazy time, man. I'm not sure what they were thinking with companions, but there were some wild ones out there, man. And the deck building restriction was supposed to make up for the fact that you essentially got a free card. Well, guess what? That got nerfed into oblivion so fast I didn't even get to finish my Luris companion deck. So out of that chaos, Zirda the Dawnwaker was born. So this is 1 generic and 2 hybrid Boros mana for a legendary creature, Elemental Fox. It's a 3/3. Has companion. If each permanent card in your starting deck has an activated ability, you can put this in the companion zone, brother. Abilities you activate that aren't mana abilities cost 2 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the mana in that cost to less than 1 mana. Has 1 and tap, target creature can't block this turn. Note how different the companion ability is from what's actually printed on the card. Enough said about that, man. Crazy art on this thing. Very magical, regal, majestic looking fox. What a cool character. Zerda also got this Multiverse Legends reprint, and that's also pretty neat in the Ikoria comic book style. So there are approximately 3,500 cards whose activated abilities are reduced by Zerda, and if you put it in the command zone, quite a few are ruled out by color identity restrictions. It is super interesting to take a look at some neat ones though. The first thing we see is that foods and clues are easier to activate, and that's pretty okay, you know, but then we get into lands that are cheaper to activate. Let's take the Wa Room for an example. An already pretty decent card is reduced to 1 generic mana, pay life equal to the colors in your commander's color identity, and draw a card. Speaking of lands, the channel lands like Iganjo are reduced. That channel ability is an activated ability. Cycling is also an activated ability. If you were in a deck that could use the triomes, the cycling ability would be reduced as well. Now if Zerda is the commander, this is irrelevant, but the transmute ability reads discard this card, search your library for a card with the same mana value as this card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. This is also an activated ability, though we may not consciously recognize it as such. Steel Hellkite, a fantastic classic commander staple, has 2 activated abilities. 2 and Steel Hellkite gets +1/+0 until end of turn, or X, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X whose controller was dealt damage by Steel Hellkite this turn. Activate only once each turn. That fire breathing ability is reduced to 1 mana, which can be relevant, but if you're building a Zerda deck, the thing you want to do is create infinite colorless mana with a 2-card combo. And that's where the old Basalt Monolith comes to town. It's 3 generic mana for an artifact. It doesn't untap during your untap step, but you can tap, add 3 colorless, or pay 3 colorless mana or 3 generic mana, untap Basalt Monolith. The old Basalt here coming up again and again in these videos to show you the power you can wield for a measly $2 after the recent reprint of Lord of the Rings. Basically, the untap is reduced to 1 generic mana, but you're tapping it for 3 generic mana per tap. Uh-oh, spaghetti juice, that's a combo, brother. You can substitute Grim Monolith as well, but that card is $260. Now, Palladium Myrrh is another combo piece that you need to figure out how to untap. Well, you can do it with the classic Umbral Mantle and its silly cousin, the Sword of the Perunes. Both of these have an untap ability, both are equipment, and the untap is reduced to 1 generic mana by Zerda. But Palladium Myrrh taps for 2 generic mana. Oh boy, that's a slippery bogle right there, you just comboed out. You can also substitute old Electric Boogaloo here, the Voltaic Construct. So this is 4 generic mana for an artifact creature. It's a construct golem, it's a 2/2. Has 2 untapped target artifact creature. And I love the flavor text on this thing. He says, the undead may outlast the living, but those who have never lived outlast them both. That's deep, man. That's like a deep dish pizza. And of course you have Paradise Mantle. That combos with the old Pili Pala. Tap for 1 mana of any color, then use that mana to untap, add another mana of any color, repeat ad infinitum. You knucklehead, you made a combo, you butternut squash. And speaking of Paradise Mantle, it's also an excellent combo machine with the card with the most metal name in this deck, the Hate Flayer, dude. 5 red for a creature elemental. It's a 5/5 with a wither. Has 2 and a red, and untap, Hate Flayer deals damage equal to its power to any target. This guy just out there on the streets flaying. Pay the 1 red mana you made when you tapped it to untap and kill the dang table. So we just talked about a grip of artifacts, but it's a 100 card deck. It's a commander deck, dude. How the heck are we going to dig these cards out, old Nicky G? Well, why don't you just shut up for a second so I can tell you? Jeez, man, you're pushing me to my limit here. Well, the first and most obvious and most expensive is the old Enlightened Tutor. I prefer the grandma version, but that's a pretty awesome and efficient tutor, cheaper than ever due to a Dominaria remastered reprint. Oh, look at this guy, just landed a rolling Mulan. You got Jimmy Wong himself fresh off the set, dude, the Imperial Recruiter. Go get Palladium Myrrh, go get Pili Pala, or you can get our next card, the Goblin Engineer. It's 1 and a red for a creature Goblin Artificer, it's a 1/2. When this guy enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card, put it into your graveyard, then shuffle, has red and tap, sacrifice an artifact, return target artifact card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is a great tutor that makes the combo a little vulnerable, because you need to dig the card back out of the graveyard. That's okay though, because we're including some recursion. And we're also including one of my favorites, a very underplayed tutor, the Moon Silver Key. Look at this blood all over the place. What the heck's going on? 2 generic mana for an artifact, 1 and tap, sacrifice it, search your library for an artifact card with a mana ability or a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. This can get the Basalt Monolith, and then you're golden. And we also have the old Oswald Fiddlebender. This guy's just a little gnome and he's got a home in this deck. He's a 2/2. It's got magical tinkering. Of course he does, dude, just like my brother. Has white and tap, sacrifice an artifact, search your library for an artifact card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrificed artifact's mana value. So you want to sacrifice something with 2 mana value to go get the Basalt Monolith. Put it onto the battlefield and shuffle, activate only as a sorcery. This guy's a champ. You need a critical mass artifacts. It's a little clunky, but he gets the job done. That's what she said. That's also what the Kuldotha Forge Master said. And this guy's the king if you have a critical mass artifacts. Just turn them and 2 crappy artifacts into whatever combo piece you need, dude. So what are we channeling all this colorless or colored mana into? Well, listen, I am a big fan of Staff of Domination. All these abilities will be reduced with Zerta at baseline, and they're pretty useful if you just plop it out onto the battlefield. But guess what? If you have infinite mana, draw your deck. Go find a Fireball or some variation thereof. You can also pack in a Walking Ballista if you feel like paying $15 or if you found one in your shoe or something. It also has an activated ability reduced by Zerta, but if you have infinite mana, who cares, dude? And if you have infinite mana, you can fetch this up with the Imperial Recruiter as well. But if you're asking me, and I assume you are asking me through the internet, I prefer to win with style with a super inefficient card called Meteor Shower. It's XX and a red for a sorcery. Meteor Shower deals X plus 1 damage divided as you choose among any number of targets. Just blast the entire table with meteors. The only reason this would be in any deck whatsoever is if you're making an infinite mana and you can have red in your deck, dude. That's what Magic is all about, right? Just totally annoying the heck out of everybody you play with. Anyways, man, I can feel it in the current and the ebbs and flows of the internet that I've convinced you that Zirda, the Dawnwaker, is the best Boros commander. Even if I haven't, you have to admit that it's a little off the beaten path as far as Boros commanders go. It's not Boros equipment, you know, and it's actually pretty good. So be good to each other. This is Nicky G from Better Commander signing off.